Hey, my name is TJ. I'm a young person in long-term recovery, and for me, that means I have not had a drink or a drug since August 9th, 2016. I'm here hosting the Recovery Matters podcast today with our guest.
My name's Amilya.
I chose to have you on today because I know that you have a really cool recovery story.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have a story which we refer to as the educational variety.
Mm-hmm.
You come around,
Uh-huh.
you try to pretend you don't know why you come around
Mm-hmm.
and want to be so much a part of,
Mm-hmm.
and then you slowly and gradually grow into the amazing sunflower that you are today.
Like a little onion just peeling back the layers. It's like, oh, I do belong here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about your early life.
So when it comes to addiction recovery, growing up, I grew up with my mom's mom. She was heavily addicted to crack, and I just got to witness how that affected like our family or like my household in particular, and just how addiction has really ruined her life. She's not the same now currently. The cognitive functioning, it's not there for her age, I would say. I'm not a doctor. I'm going to stay in my lane here. Like, I don't want to diagnose, but she's just not all there. And like, I've seen her mental health decline, or like, choosing street drugs over prescription drugs to help treat with your mental health disorder diagnosis. But I never would have thought that I would have something in common with her. I was like a mom's dream, like a mother's dream. I never did drugs or like went out and did reckless things as a teenager. So like I would like pat myself on the back. Like I didn't touch weed until I got to college and I was 18. It's still obviously illegal because I'm not 21 at the time, but I was using weed recreationally with friends, and it was just like for shits and giggles. Like everything tastes better, you laugh a little bit, the music sounds good, you just go straight to bed. It was just something like cutesy.
Okay.
And I told them, because it was like a group of friends, I was like, if I'm ever like not in the right headspace, I don't want to partake because like I don't want it to be a coping mechanism. Just knowing my family history and just knowing about my grandmother, like I don't ever want to rely on it. Like this is strictly for recreation, strictly for fun. And I knew that. And then that was like my freshman year of college. And then I didn't keep up that same attitude when shit got hard.
Okay.
So my freshman year, I was sexually assaulted on campus by a friend, like a friend of a friend. And when it came time to like unpack that and call it what it was and like go through like a whole Title IX investigation and like really just get help for what I needed, because following that, I had depression, PTSD, anxiety. Like I didn't want to wake up the next morning. Like it's really hard to go through that like violation on your body. And then also at the same time, for me personally, I was grieving a friend who like of 7 years, called her my sister. We were like soulmates. So in addition to the attack on my body, I was also dealing with the betrayal of like losing that friend, because instead of, hearing the things that he had done to me and like being like, oh, that's disgusting, like I'm not going to talk to that man, they still have a relationship. So that was a lot for 18-year-old me. It's a lot for 21-year-old me.
Yeah. Thank you for your courage and sharing that with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me. That is like a huge part of my story. That's what got me to a point where I wanted to just be high all day, because otherwise I was angry and I was lashing out at the people who didn't deserve it. Like my mom and my fiancé C, like they're the sweetest, most understanding people, and they only want what's best for me. And I was just so like out of it from like not being on my antidepressants and like having like terrible like PTSD like outbursts and irritability. It wasn't good, and like the only way I could not be that awful person was to be high. So it's like as soon as it wore off, I would have to be high again. Otherwise it just wasn't good. It was ugly. Yeah.
You speak out today so that way others don't have to suffer in silence. Right? So you were sharing about how that had like a traumatic effect on you, and you resulted to drugs and alcohol. How'd you end up at CCAR?
So the summer where I was having like a really difficult time and like I just needed to be high all day, that was last summer, 2023. And I knew I didn't want to go out like that. Like I don't want to be like my grandmother. I want um, healthy coping mechanisms. So also I'm a student. So like I'm a student, I have a job, I'm in a relationship, I'm like there's just so much going on. So I knew that I wanted the resources and the help, but I didn't know how I would get it with my schedule. So the beauty of my job is on campus we work at the volunteer center. So like we go to CCAR and Willimantic. That's one of our programs that we have. And I wasn't assigned to it, but I told my boss, I was like, Lexi, like I need CCAR. Like it's not a want because they ask for our preferences. I was like, this isn't a preference. Like I need to kill two birds with one stone here. And thank God for my boss because she let me have it. So then, I was there on business, but like I was soaking in everything. And like in the beginning, I was scared to talk because, I feel like weed isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. And I was like, I don't relate so much to everything that's being said in here because I don't have a long history of active addiction. So it started off very slow, but like you said, it's just like kept unraveling. And I realized like through it not being a judge or because it's a judgment free zone, like I just felt so accepted. And then slowly I started saying like, this was my drug of choice. Like I was embarrassed at first, but then I realized like the problem is still the same no matter what it is.
It's not what it is, it's what it does to you.
Yeah. And I was out of it.
So you go in there, you're a sponge, you're taking it all in. You felt a part of, right?
Yeah.
And you still feel part of today.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about your first experiences in recovery. Were you abstinence-based or what?
No. So when I started at CCAR, so it got to a point where I could, not use as a coping mechanism, but just use recreationally again. So that's what I was doing. And I had a little bit of guilt about that because like I'm attending CCAR regularly, and I'm still using, and it felt wrong. But then I realized that there are multiple pathways to recovery, and it's not a bad thing that I'm like using because for me I don't want to say valid reasons, but like it wasn't for the same reasons. So for me that was a win.
Yep.
And then I was like put on, you told me about like harm reduction, and that's basically what I'm doing. Like I'm not smoking every single day. I'm smoking recreationally like once every 2 weeks or so. Like I just feel like that's way better than the place I was in before. Then like I had a little oops this past September. Alcohol was never really my problem. I did drink, but like most college students do. But I don't even remember what it was. I was having a hard time with the assault because, healing isn't linear. Sometimes things come up. Sometimes you're better than other days. And I just remember not wanting to get out of bed. And I had plans to drink later on that night. So I kind of just jumped the gun and like I just took some chugs on an empty stomach, and it just didn't feel good. It felt like I was lying to those around me, like, "Oh my God, you cheered up," and it's like, "No, I didn't cheer up. I'm drunk." I'm laughing right now because like I'm using like to me an unhealthy coping mechanism, and I didn't like that feeling. I also didn't like what it did to the people around me, and I was like, you know what? Like, why don't I give abstinence a try? Especially because I don't think you need substances to have fun. Like sometimes I like get a little like weary about that. I'm like, but sometimes there's an appeal to it. But like ultimately, like you don't need drugs and alcohol to have a good time. Like I'm pretty upbeat and giggly and fun anyway. So it's like
Yes.
I can cut it out, especially because I don't want to have a drug problem, an alcohol problem. I don't want to be, I don't want to be in a spot where like my children worry about me in the future. Like I just want to like nip the shit in the butt now.
Okay.
Bud. Do you know that? I say butt. So like I always thought the saying was nip it in the butt.
That's what I say.
No, it's nip it in the bud, like a rosebud.
Oh,
I say butt, but whatever.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you wanted to nip this problem in the bud.
In the bud.
What does that mean?
So I'm sitting, I've been with CCAR for over a year now. I'm sitting in these rooms where people like they have decades of, how do I say? They have decades of addiction negatively impacting their life. And I'm surrounded by people older than me who are always like, I wish I had a handle on it, like where you are. Like, you're 21 now. Like, there's just so much ahead of you. And knowing that, I love that I'm in recovery now as opposed to like 40 or like, I don't know. I don't want to like make it seem like I'm shaming those ahead of me. It's just like, it's nice to know that I have a handle on it early.
Yes.
Yeah, I like.
And then you joined the abstinence-based recovery community.
Yeah.
How was that?
It's good. Today is 2 months. So
Congratulations.
thank you. I really some days it's like, oh, like it could be nice, but it's just like a passing thought. Like there's no like need, because really like, I don't know. I guess that also goes to my mental health. Like my mental health is really good right now. I'm on an antidepressant that I like. I go to therapy bi-weekly. I have a great support system. So I'm lucky enough to where I don't have like strong cravings. But yeah, I don't know. It still feels amazing. Like whether I have all these resources or not, like it just feels good to say, it's been 2 months since I've had anything in there. Weed, I don't even know the last time, but like the last time I drank was 2 months ago.
Are you ready to make a difference in the lives of others? If so, then you should consider becoming a recovery coach. Recovery coaches are trained to help people in recovery, seeking recovery, or struggling with addiction. They provide support, guidance, and resources to help people on their recovery journey. CCAR Training is the leading provider of recovery coach training programs. Our programs are designed to teach you the skills and knowledge, what we call the science, while giving you an understanding of your own art needed to be a successful recovery coach. We offer a variety of training options, most offered online. If you're interested in becoming a recovery coach or just learning more, I encourage you to visit our website or contact us today. We would be happy to answer any questions you have and help you get started on your journey to becoming a recovery coach. We hope you'll visit us at www.addictionrecoverytraining.org to learn more.
So what have your relationships been like since you found recovery?
So prior to finding recovery, in the midst of, summer 2023 and like going through my mental health crisis and the addiction, my relationship with my mother, was not the best. Like that is like my best friend. Like we've been through a lot together and she just understands me. She's my biggest supporter. And it didn't feel like that summer when I was, not well. But since finding recovery, we're back to like how things should be. I can't imagine our relationship if I didn't have the recovery. Like I didn't like the way it was like trending. Yeah, that's for my mom. As far as my relationship romantically, I am engaged and my fiancé is so supportive of my recovery and it means the world to me.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
How's school going since being in recovery?
School is also better because I'm trying to think. When I got diagnosed with a depression, I'm very studious. Like I've been on a roll like my whole existence. Like I'm teacher's pet, goody two shoes, like just striving for the best. And that semester, that is when like things like fell off. It's not even the worst, but like I had like some C's in there, which isn't really like me. And I woke up like during this time every day with anxiety. Like I dreaded the morning. It was such a dark time to be in. My relationship, anhedonia, where you just the things you once enjoyed, they don't bring you joy anymore.
Yes.
Like I was experiencing that. So like I was withdrawing from my organization because I do NAACP on campus. It was a hard time. And then since finding recovery and like being with CCAR and having all of these supports back, like everything just like, it's great. Everything I once enjoyed, I enjoy like the same, if not more. My grades are great. I have really good professional relationships with my professors, with my mentors. I love what I'm doing. For a while, in the midst of that depression, I didn't think that I wanted to do this career path anymore. I as a depressed person would think, it's like I can't see myself doing anything. Like I don't see how I could be in a helping field, helping those around me when I can't even help myself right now. Like
Yep.
I felt hopeless. And you know, since being in recovery, I just feel like I'm such a good fit for it. Like, my therapist would tell me like there's something so beneficial to like having lived experience. Like she says we're like wounded healers, and I'm just like, oh yeah, kind of yeah. Yeah. So I can't see myself doing anything else, and I just think it's crazy that for a time I like almost gave up on it, or I was like, shit, like I need to pivot because I don't know, this isn't it, but this is it, and I really couldn't see myself doing anything else. Like this is my dream. I want to work with people. I want to help people. I want to counsel. And yeah, I think CCAR really helped me like really set that in stone, because facilitating the groups and like doing the TRS and like seeing how you have an impact on people and how you make a difference, like, oh, it feels good. It's like people say all the time that it's like their medicine, like they're coming in and they are doing it for their recovery, but then also you get to hear other people and it helps you. So it's just a cycle.
It's amazing. Tell me about your experience in the young people's recovery community.
So I love the young people's community that we have in Willimantic. I was nervous at first I was nervous coming into just like CCAR, not young people's, because I am so young, and I was like, I didn't know how I would be perceived, like, oh, you don't know anything. But I actually didn't get that at all, so that felt great. So then going into Young People and Family Services, I was excited because now the community can feel like even like, I don't know, tighter in a way. Like I can connect with these people more potentially because we're closer in age. And I do find that like after and before the meetings, I'm bonding with the people who come in for those meetings. And it's nice to talk and laugh and joke. And since volunteering with Young People and Family Services, I got it so that my school and like the volunteer center can partner with them. So like now we do the games and the pizza, and I love it so much. And I'm just surprised that it didn't happen sooner. And I'm just glad to have that like fellowship happening, because I think it's just really good for everybody involved.
Absolutely. I think you're a very good community connector.
Thank you.
I think you connect the dots very well.
Yeah, I love
Like
it.
you help us get from here to there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the recovery community has a big piece of it, which is the allies community,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like we spread our message of recovery, hope, and healing through allies as well, people who support us, right? And people who like look at us and say, I love somebody in recovery, right? My best friend is in recovery, right? And like supporting them in that way is really important and really valid as well.
Also realizing that the allies can have a difference, because I know I'll bring in volunteers, say they don't have any firsthand experience with substance misuse, or say they don't even have family members, but just you talking about your daily struggles, because a lot of it goes hand in hand, like the addiction and the mental health issues, like a lot of it's comorbid. So like you can just talk about any struggles, and then someone in the room is going to find a way to like connect to that subject. And I think it's just, I don't know, I keep saying beautiful, but it's beautiful to see like the people who think, oh, I won't have an impact in that way. And it's like, yes, you do. And it's just nice to see everybody connect despite thinking that it wouldn't happen.
We had a young girl come down. She kind of like was a little bit like, not standoffish,
Yeah.
right? But you're like, all right, like she might not be the best fit, but like my favorite thing is nobody ends up here by accident. Nobody comes to CCAR by accident.
Me.
Yeah.
Prime example.
Right? And she's there, she's enjoying the games, having fun, connecting with her friends and stuff like that. We sit down for the Young People's All Recovery meeting. Goes around, everybody's kind of like this and that. Shoots her hand right up. And
We
I'm
love
like,
that.
here you go. I'm like, here's the magic, right?
Right.
Like, let it happen. Like, I
Right.
take it, sit back and boom, start sharing about family. Hey, my grandfather was an addict. Hey, my father's an addict. I grew up in the system. Like, I love recovery and like this is important, right? Because we need to help people so they can be better parents and that type of stuff. And goes on and shares her discussions around anger and like, hey, I was so angry at these people for so long, and I had to go to therapy and like learn how to forgive them so that way I could walk this way of life. And like, and in turn, it makes her a part of the recovery community through her
That's what's
experience.
up.
And I'm like, all right,
That's what's up.
maybe you do belong here.
For
Like,
sure.
welcome. I'm glad you're here today.
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
Also, just by her being there and like, being open and willing to forgive, like it just helps with the stigma that we all go through. Like it's just like a us versus them mentality. And it's just like, if you just like opened your heart a little, or you're just a little more open-minded, like you see that we're not so different. Like we're just all so similar.
Yep.
And I love when people are willing to come in, even if they're unsure, if they're uncomfortable. I feel like that's where the magic happens.
Yes. Let it happen. Let it simmer, right? Sometimes we got to throw a lid on it, put it on the back burner, turn the heat down. Right. And like, I'm big on that, especially working with young people. Right. Like sometimes I'll turn the heat up on it. Like we need to, this one needs a sear. Right. But not everything, not every meal we cook is a sear. Right. Some meals we cook is a back burner, simmer, let this thing work itself out. Right. And like, I can feel that type of energy especially when I work with young people and they're kind of figuring their life out and they come in, they're like, first times, a lot of times they come in, they're like, I don't know if I belong here. And it's like, hang on.
Yeah.
Like, let it work.
Hold on a second. Yeah. Because I think we have this idea of what an addict is. And we don't think it's us. And it is us. Like, after being in the room, it's us.
It's exactly us. Right. And like, nobody just comes in by accident. Right. And it's like, then I let them kind of work some of their stuff out. And then they kind of put back, and sometimes they're like, they feel a little embarrassed. They're like, maybe I shot my hand at it too. And then like what I do is I focus on feelings, right? Because when we're having a discussion in a meeting, like that group discussion, especially around a topic, like I was a young heroin addict, did time in prison, did all this type of stuff, right? For me, I needed to, number one, I needed to go through my process of change. But I would go to a meeting and I would sit there and I'd listen to people and I would try to make myself feel so different from them so I could prove to myself that I didn't belong here.
I think I had a little bit of that.
Yep.
I was like, see, that doesn't align. So therefore I'm not. And it's like, nope, just shut up and listen.
Just let it work out, right?
Yeah.
And like, so for me too, when I hear those people like trying to make that connection, but then being like, maybe I don't. And like, I jump, like after they share, I let things settle down, sometimes what I do is try to make a direct connection with them. Like, put my hand up. It's like, hey, listen, I totally understand why you feel that way, right? Because when this happened to me, I felt that exact way, right? And like, this is how my life has changed today. This is why I feel a part of today. Right? So what's your future look like? Tell me about it.
Okay, so right now I'm a senior at Eastern Connecticut State University, and I graduate May 2025. I'm looking to go into grad school to do social work. Nice. Right now I'm a psychology major, so I am interning here at the Hartford location. I know I want to go to grad school for social work because I want to be a licensed clinical social worker so I can do counseling with adults. But before I get into that, I want to take a gap year so I can like be in the field. And I'm really hoping to work at CCAR. I would just love to stay here. I've really come to love it. Like I can't stay away. So on that, higher education path, I hope to stay with CCAR, something like very remotely similar while I pursue that.
What's your recovery look like today? How do you support your recovery?
I go to 4 meetings a week. I come to the Hartford All Recovery meetings Mondays and Wednesdays. Thursday in Willimantic, I do the Young People All Recovery meeting, and also Friday, their Willimantic All Recovery meeting. And outside of the meetings, just being with my community, because the meetings are only an hour, but like for my internship and my volunteering, I do way past what's required. I like connecting with my peers. And I actually, for Monday's topic, I chose, because I facilitated that meeting, I chose the beauty of like-minded people, because it really is such a beautiful thing to be with like-minded people. And it doesn't even matter that we're all different, like age, race, gender, like none of that matters, because like addiction doesn't discriminate. So it's just nice. I just always feel uplifted, and like I can't explain it. Yeah. I love it.
It's called the power of connection.
Yes, the opposite of addiction is connection, or community. One of those.
The opposite of addiction is
connection. Yeah.
It's a TED Talk.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they talk about a study where they would put rats alone in a cage. They would give them water with substances in it and water without substances. The rats that were alone always went to the substances. They went to the substances over and over and over and over till they died alone. The rats that were in the community that had things to play with, that had other like-minded individuals, would use the substances infrequently and at much lower rates of addiction because they had all the things within their community that would support them like that, right?
Wow.
Because like when I'm isolated, I'm in trouble.
Right.
For me, like
Yeah.
that's in my recovery world, right? Like when I was starting to get an idea of like what recovery was, and I was still using substances before I got sober, I would be alone at my house in my attic or basement watching a movie using heroin. That was it, right? And then when I first got sober and I'd go to a 7 a.m. meeting every day, or I'd go to CCAR, or I'd do all these types of things, I was around a lot of people. I might not have been happy yet, but those people around me were happy. Right? I was so sick, I needed to get around people who were well.
Right.
And catch the well. You know? That's why, like, we say too a lot of times, I like pain shared is halved and joy shared is doubled. And that's why part of why we come to meetings, to find connection, to share our pain and share our joy with other people.
The connection is unmatched, and it's also just, it's beautiful to have people who just get it, because, you know, people on the outside who don't have lived experiences, or like, they can help as much as they can to a certain extent because they haven't lived it, or they're just missing this understanding that people in the meetings, they just get it. Like, I don't have to explain it to you, and I don't have to get exhausted or frustrated when you don't get it, because I can just skip the whole explanation part. You can just jump into the, how can I support you? Like, I don't have to explain it to you, and I love that. But also for my recovery, like outside of CCAR, I love coloring.
Nice.
Coloring is now my thing. Like, it's just so satisfying. It's like mindless. It's just something to do. And then like in the end, it's like, yeah, like I did that. It's like finished. I don't know. I like it.
It's fulfillment.
It is fulfillment. I like it.
Yeah, you ever check out our coloring and chill group downstairs?
I am going to do that on Saturday, this Saturday.
That's really cool.
I'm going to pull up with all my markers, and I'm just going to.
I love it. I think art is a big part of recovery.
It is. It's, I don't know. It's so cool to create something that's like, yeah, like I did that. Like, it's mine. It's personal. Like, I don't know. I love it.
Self-expression. Right? Because I think substances dull the mind. Right? And I think substances kind of like prevent the creative process. You know?